In the United States, there are more than 150 violent crimes committed every hour. At their best, crime scene investigators help put the guilty in jail. At their worst, the guilty could walk free. The margin of error is razor thin. At Penn State University, 12 forensic science students have been given the opportunity of a lifetime.
By the time you leave this course, you're going to know how to investigate a crime scene.
Dr. Robert Shaler, a pioneer in the field of DNA analysis, has designed a unique course in forensic investigation.
That is blood.
Cutting-edge technology.
Can you see it?
The latest evidence-gathering techniques.
Did you get a print?
The most realistic settings imaginable.
Oh!
These students are the future of crime scene investigation. If they don't do their homework, someone may get away with murder.
Oh my gosh, there's blood everywhere.
It was overwhelming.
There are bloody handprints.
The students of Crime Scene University are about to enter their first crime scene.
All right, let's go.
Throws it to the right behind the sofa.
Their professor, Dr. Shaler, has set up 2 identical crime scenes in Spruce Cottage. The gray team will investigate the first floor, while the blue team canvasses the second.
Yeah, make sure you walk on the perimeter.
There's a body with a pool of blood on the floor. There's a lot of blood over here.
There's food everywhere.
When we first stepped onto the second floor, we were, I think, all like, oh my gosh, there's stuff everywhere. There's blood everywhere.
In this first crime scene, there's a bloody body in the middle of the living room and also a completely destroyed kitchen.
The only information they receive upon stepping onto the scene is a police report, which includes an eyewitness statement. A neighbor reports that the husband and wife who live at Spruce Cottage have a history of domestic disputes, and that the wife showed up bruised and in tears at his front door. The neighbor went to confront the husband, but he claims that when he arrived, the husband was lying in a pool of blood, dead. Subsequently, the wife has been arrested. The students must now figure out, did the wife kill her husband? And if not, who did? Dr. Shaler has split the students into 2 teams. Josh will lead the blue team.
After taking this course, I plan to just go straight into a forensics lab, hopefully working in a ballistics or firearms examiner's position. I've always had an interest in crimes and solving problems and making sure justice is served.
The gray team will be led by Christine.
I took a Techniques of Crime Scene Investigation course at my school, and everything was straight out of the book. That's why I wanted to come here and do it.
The students will have 5 hours to solve the crime.
I put a time limit on the students because they have to understand that in the real world, the police want answers because it'll help them in their investigations. I put the pressure on them on purpose to make them work fast and get the work done as quickly as possible.
Considering this is our first crime scene, I'm a little worried about the time limit, the pressure. We don't know what to expect. I think, we're just gonna try and work as efficiently and as effectively as possible. And, we need to figure out who killed the husband. You can see the blood's only kind of underneath. Yeah. Scissors with blood on them. There's a blood trail leading from that room over there into the kitchen.
The gray team has discovered a possible murder weapon. and a trail of blood.
It was just overwhelming. I expected to walk up there, get an idea of what happened, and then follow that path to process the evidence, but I had no clue.
We have 2 footprints that we designated as like the best ones.
Here, I have one.
Here you go.
Looks like 2 feet ago.
The blue team begins searching for footprint evidence using one of the techniques they learned from Dr. Shaler.
Impression evidence, such as footwear impressions, can be used to make very specific identifications to footwear that a criminal or an assailant wore at a crime scene. Using oblique lighting from a flashlight is one of the best ways to reveal those prints.
Oblique lighting allows us to find certain prints, such as footprints or fingerprints, that you can't see with the naked eye. We use different angling, different types of lighting fires. We can use flashlights, we can use mirrors.
We've got a blood and dust print right here. It's both sets of the feet. We've got the right foot there and the left foot here leading out the door. Could have possibly been from the neighbor that came in and got in a little of the blood himself. Not sure.
We found a bloody footprint near the door. This supports what the neighbors said in his eyewitness statement, that he walked into the house and saw the husband's body and then walked out.
There is some blood spatter on the wall, so we're taking a picture to see what this indicates. I think some foul play went on here, and it's pretty high level.
Clearly, when you see spatter like that, you know that violent activity took place. Although you probably have no idea at that particular time how many people were involved, you're not going to really get that answer till you get DNA typing back, and it'll let you know exactly how many people were there.
While Kristen photographs the spatter, the gray team struggles with their camera.
Oh, is this a remote?
I don't know. There's no memory card, and I don't know. You definitely can't just point and shoot at any object. Everything has to be done manually, so it was definitely trying.
I require students to use the manual settings on the camera. The idea of the manual settings is to get the proper exposure so that you have the proper and perfect amount of light hitting the evidence so you get as much detail in the evidence as possible.
Timer's been, see how it's flashing?
I don't know how to do that. It's a little stressful because I want everything to go well. And I want us to, be able to find everything and get everything done.
The gray team is using rulers and tape to mark the size of evidence as they photograph it. The type of scale used is called photomacrographic.
The scales are critical. It allows you to take the evidence at the scene and compare it to a real sample. In this particular case, it was critical because it's going to give the investigators the opportunity to perhaps identify the husband's killer.
The blue team is using another forensic technique, triangulation, to document evidence in the kitchen.
Okay, let's triangulate this chair and this plate.
There are a number of ways to document the scene. Sketching is critical. Triangulation is the most accurate way of identifying something at a crime scene. It measures 2 fixed points to the object itself. We can fix the position by measuring the distance to the corner. This is the triangulation method. This is basically what you're doing is you're forming a triangle. And it's important to have them fixed so that at a later time when someone goes back to look at this scene, they know exactly where the objects of evidence were located and their relationship to what happened at that crime scene.
I'd go from center point.
Yeah, let's just
59. There's a larger spoon, but there's also 2 forks, 2 knives, and 2 spoons in the room. So as it looks now, there might be only 2 people that are at least eating in the room during the time of maybe a confrontation occurring.
Score! Oh, yeah.
We found a shirt behind the couch. It's full of blood. It looks like it might have been taken off after the crime was committed. This could indicate that it belonged to our neighbor, which is one of our prime suspects.
The blue team believes that the incident began with a confrontation in the kitchen. Both teams have discovered a blood trail from the kitchen to the living room where the body lies. There are bloody scissors next to the body and a bloody shirt behind the couch. There's also blood spatter in the bedroom. With just over 2 hours remaining, the gray team is still documenting their scene and has not begun to collect evidence.
You just want to dust it downstairs?
Move the evidence downstairs and dust there.
Are we allowed to do that?
Okay. Well, yeah, if it's documented. But I don't think
we
we've
need
gotten
it
that
close
far.
up.
All right. Well, then let's just.
Do
we'll
you want
focus
to
on
grab
close-ups.
another camera and do that? Okay.
Christine is our team leader this time. She's definitely everywhere. I'm just wondering if maybe we're only using 5 players as opposed to 6 when that's the case.
It is 5:40.
Watch your step.
Looks like Christine kicked the scissors. It's a no-no.
I'd hate to not be able to use evidence because someone kicked it.
Christine kicked one of the items of evidence. Your evidence can be destroyed just by walking on it or moving it around.
We already photographed it, so we really didn't lose anything from that, fortunately.
And she should have recorded that she had done it and told her team members that she kicked the evidence and showed them where it originally was.
If that was her murder weapon, we could have just lost very probative evidence, and that can really hurt us.
The evidence isn't in the right place. It's not documented that way. So when you get to court, this is brings up the whole issue of contamination of the scene, sloppy teamwork, which can come back to really give them problems in court.
Dr. Shaler, who has been monitoring the students by video camera from the basement, has come upstairs to get an update from his teaching assistant.
The grade team is very far behind in trying to complete this crime scene. They're still haven't done anything in terms of dusting for fingerprints. They're still working on sketching and photography, which should have been finished hours ago. Yeah.
Do you want us to triangulate the chairs and the table? Because there's 4 chairs in there. There's more important things that we need to triangulate.
We really haven't gotten to the sitting room or the living room or even the bedroom to do any triangulation there. So I honestly think it's more important to triangulate those than to triangulate each and every one of these chairs.
How about this? We'll compromise. Can you triangulate the chair that's pulled out from the table?
Yeah.
Upstairs, the blue team is making progress.
There's the stab hole, and then this is what would be dripping patterns from the blood. And then the pool means that that's where he would have bled out.
I see 3 sets of footprints here. It looks like there must have been a fight and they're all scuffled and on top of each other. It was obviously a domestic violence case, but we're still trying to figure out. We think that maybe the neighbor was involved in some sort of way because there's obviously 3 sets of prints.
Sometimes footprints of the scene can give you an indication of what happened. In this particular instance, there was 2 different people or more than one person tracking through the blood. The movement of the footprints suggested that there was a struggle.
As they gather evidence, the blue team begins to formulate theories as to what may have happened.
I think that it started in the kitchen with a fight. If we follow the blood evidence, then possibly the husband punched the wife in the face, and then she had a nosebleed. And then ended up in the bedroom, and then possibly that's where the stabbing occurred, and the husband walked into the living room and collapsed.
Josh?
Yeah.
What are you going to do about fingerprinting the house?
I haven't done the door jambs yet. I just did the sink and all those handles.
We've got about an hour yet, so you can still get that done.
Okay.
Time's running out now, so we're going to try and see if we can collect some clear fingerprints so that it can lead us to a suspect.
Fingerprint identifications account for more arrests than any other area of forensic science, including DNA. Fingerprints are unique. There are 2 different kinds of fingerprints. There are those fingerprints which you can see at the scene. That'd be something like a fingerprint in blood. That's called a patent print. Most of the fingerprints at the scene are going to be latent prints, which means they're not visible to the naked eye. But there are different categories of prints based upon the ridge patterns on your fingers. There's the loop, you have the whorls, which is the most complex, you have an arch. It takes a lot of practice and a delicate touch to be able to dust and lift a usable print without obliterating it. No matter what type of powder you use, if you use too much, you will lose information. With really gentle swirling motions, you can see it starting to come up.
I can't tell if they're palm prints or actually fingerprints, but There's definitely enough ridge detail that I think we'd be able to lift them.
While the blue team collects their fingerprint evidence, the gray team is still documenting the scene, and time is running out.
Are you guys almost done?
Is it just this room we have to do?
In the bedroom.
We have to do the bedroom still.
Right now, it's learning how to manage the crime scene investigation so that they can learn to be efficient and get the work done expeditiously.
I mean, I'm more concerned with having the evidence on there than I am with the chairs.
I honestly think there's more important things that we should
I also
be.
do too.
They still haven't learned to work together as a team. They are inefficient. Using the camera right now is still fairly new to them. Looking for evidence is still fairly new to them. They haven't really trained their minds to think in terms of crime scenes and what happened there. And this is something that they still have to learn to do.
I want somebody to start fingerprinting like ASAP.
There were a lot of things that were a little bit frustrating. It was a lot to handle, and it was very stressful.
Sitting room's done. Furniture and evidence.
Yeah.
And the kitchen. Wait.
Yeah, unless we...
The evidence in the sitting room, yes.
I'm trying to figure out what needs to be done still.
Did you guys baseline the furniture?
Is the furniture done in the sitting room?
I measured the dimensions of the furniture.
I thought you were doing the furniture.
We need to not jump around. Like, we need to finish one room and have it be finished and then move on. You two go fingerprint, and then Aaron and Earl stay in here and finish this up. Okay.
With a little over an hour left, the blue team has almost completely dusted the walls of their crime scene.
I'm using a gel lifter to try to pick up print off of this white door frame.
They're looking for fingerprints to determine who was in the house and exactly where they were.
The forensic scientist believes in what we call the low-card exchange principle. Among participants at the crime scene, there's going to be an exchange of evidence. And finding that evidence and analyzing that evidence correctly is going to solve the crime. One of the things that's at stake here is making sure that the evidence points to the correct people who committed this crime.
Did you do that hand already?
Yeah, I didn't get anything off it.
So far, the blue team has not lifted a single usable print.
Fingerprints at the crime scene have varying quality to them. The idea is to be able to find fingerprints that have a lot of ridge detail, which means when you look at your fingers, you can see the detail on the fingertips themselves. If you don't capture that, then your ability to match to a suspect is going to be very difficult.
Wow.
Do you see it? I don't know if we're going to be able to get a clear print off of this.
The FBI's APHIS program contains the criminal fingerprint files from each state. There are approximately 53 million sets of prints on file, with an average of 7,000 sets of prints added each day. The students of Crime Scene University have 1 hour left to finish collecting evidence. The gray team got a slow start and has only just begun dusting for prints. The blue team quickly collected their evidence, but they may have overdusted, making it difficult to lift a usable fingerprint.
Wow, didn't get hardly anything.
You can overdust or underdust, and once you do that, the print's gone. So it's a very difficult process.
In one instance, Josh was dusting fingerprints, and it was near the end of the crime scene. And in his zeal to get the fingerprinting done, he overdusted the print and got it to the point where it's really not going to be able to use to match to anybody. So this is a problem, because now he has a piece of potentially very important evidence that he's not going to be able to use in court.
We've just got several prints that we're trying to get lifted here at the last minute.
Guys, we have to lift some fingerprints. Okay.
The gray team is having similar problems.
I can't get anything off this one.
Okay.
So you want me to try on that one?
Yeah. Unless you're not confident in doing the fingerprinting, in which case
not-
just let Rick do it. No, I'm just saying.
No, I understand. It's not that I'm not confident, it's just that it's smudged.
Okay.
And it's mainly handprints. We're kind of butting heads here. Hey, I'm here, I can do things, and I've got the same knowledge as you.
All right, I'm not coming in this room anymore. It is hard because you don't know them that well and they don't know you that well, and they might not know how to take your leadership in certain aspects.
The gray team decides to focus on a set of bloody footprints in the bedroom that indicate a struggle.
This is where all the bloody footprints start. I want somebody to start ASAP. So I would definitely like to get this print right here. It's only part, but it's very detailed in the center.
Partial print can give information. Oftentimes, even a partial print may even give you the manufacturer. The tread itself will allow you to identify the particular tread to a particular shoe. And the manufacturers have these in databases.
In class, the students recently learned about how to process footprint evidence left in blood.
Impression evidence is probably the most common kind of evidence found in the crime scene. And impression evidence, such as footwear impressions, can be used to make very specific identifications to footwear that the criminal or an assailant wore at a crime scene. Always look for footprints around where a body is, because obviously somebody else had to be there.
He has blood.
Does he have blood on his shoe? He
has blood on both shoes. Okay. Well, these are definitely not the Vic's prints, because look at the bottom of his shoe. Try and get, you know, some of the prints that you can actually see that are whole. There's a lot that have those circles.
With only 45 minutes left, the blue team is still scrambling to lift a fingerprint.
We're rushing a little bit with fingerprints in the end, but I think we can just get the job done and get it done right. Do you like this ridge detail?
That's pretty good. That's one of the best ones we've got so far, so just...
With little time remaining, the gray team moves quickly into the den, a possible exit point for the killer.
There are these 2 bloody handprints on the door, and then there's a bloody footprint there. There's another one right behind me, and then behind that, like in front of this other door, there are 2 prints in dust.
The gray team has found bloody handprints in the kitchen and bloody footprints in the den.
This is important. The DNA of the print that we found matches our husband, our victim, and we can match the print to either the wife or the neighbor. That will indicate who our potential assailant was.
Christine, are you in the room there?
Yes?
Okay, you got about 15 minutes.
Uh-oh. Did you get the kitchen finished? Did you, like, triangulate everything?
No.
Hey, can one of you guys come help me?
We place time limits on them. They're used to getting homework assignments and finishing them. They're used to turning in something and getting a grade. They're not used to being pressured to the point where they even have to cut corners to get finished.
You need to pick up evidence markers? Yes, please.
The blue team has finished documenting and collecting their evidence. Their investigation is complete.
I actually have everything located and all the sketches completed for the whole second floor.
Hopefully all this evidence that we've compiled is just going to come together to us when we sit down and have our group meeting.
I've been going over them lightly to bring up any possible fingerprints.
The gray team is using the last remaining minutes to lift fingerprints from a plate they removed from the kitchen.
I finally found something. So now I'm kind of focusing on this region, trying to bring up some ridge detail. I knew that I had to have a contrast. The plate was white, so I went with the dark powder.
If the fingerprints belong to the husband and the wife, it shows that they struggled. So since the husband's dead, that would make the wife a suspect.
Oh, yeah.
Find something?
Okay.
You see it right there? 3 in a row?
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
10, 9,
We can
8,
take a picture?
7, 6, 5,
What's left?
4, 3, 2, 1.
Are you guys almost done? We definitely got done what I had planned that I wanted us to do, so I was satisfied with that.
I'm confident with the evidence that we found and the way we processed it, so hopefully it'll come together for us.
After 5 hours of investigation, both teams are exhausted, but their work is not done.
We've now collected all our evidence. We have the major task ahead of us of interpreting that evidence. We've narrowed it down to 2 primary suspects, both the neighbor and the wife. Now we need to determine who killed the husband.
The first thing I wanted to say is that I think everybody did a really good job. You know, I kind of had a game plan that I told you guys about ahead of time, and I think we really got through everything, so I was happy about that.
I think we had some communication problems, but I'm sure some people are probably better at taking like a leadership role than others.
And we're gonna learn as we go, so it's only gonna get better.
All right, first of all, I'd like to say great job to everybody. You worked extremely hard. I think we definitely missed several points, but that was mainly my fault for being a little disorganized on what I wanted to do. Working with 5 girls is definitely been a challenge so far, but I think that'll indicate how successful we are in this class, is whether or not we can all work together. So do we think that the wife actually went over there with the neighbor and knows what happened, or do we just kind of think she went to the neighbor's house, he went over to confront, he killed him?
No.
Right.
Why would she risk going back over there once she got away, so to speak? Because, I mean, just because the neighbor is with you doesn't mean that you're safe.
Yeah. And the question is, who done it? Is it the wife, or is it a third party?
Right.
I know that there's a lot of blood all in there. We don't really know like how it all got there.
I'm guessing, I at least think everything started in the kitchen.
I agree.
There's drops that lead around, and it seems like to the bedroom. There's that whole smear right there at the door.
Do we think it was a possibility of a nosebleed?
It's a nosebleed from a wound. And, you know, maybe someone goes into the kitchen to grab scissors from the kitchen,
Yeah, they
comes
could have
back
been anywhere.
and makes the stab here.
I mean, they really could have been in any room in the house.
You want to start from where we think it started, and work our way out?
We're gonna start in the bedroom.
What size was that T-shirt?
Medium.
Medium. I don't think the
I don't
size
think
medium
it's
would fit on the victim.
Oh, but his shirt, when I photographed it, it had wine on it. Had
So
to
he
be
didn't
sitting.
change his shirt.
The one thing that I was gonna say, the footprints on the way out were not the circle ones.
Were they bloody?
Yes.
Yes, they were bloody footprints.
They are not the victims.
All right, well, that's
Are they
important.
going? Yeah.
Yeah.
We clearly know 2 bloody footprints were leading out of the house.
We found in the bedroom a very large pool of blood with a lot of partial footprints in it. So we think there was some sort of struggle, because otherwise it wouldn't look like people were dancing.
We're gonna need to look up all the fingerprints and all of the footprints and see who they belong to. We can't come to any speculations until we do that.
Right. That's definitely so true.
I think we have a lot of ideas to work with right now. It'll be really helpful to find out who that all matches with, because then I think we'll really have a much clearer idea of where to go.
Day 1 of the investigation is complete. The next morning, the students head to the lab to start processing their fingerprint and footprint evidence.
Right now we're scanning in latent prints that we found at the crime scene, and we're putting them into AFIS to find out if we can find out whose fingerprints they are.
AFIS is the automated fingerprint identification system, which gives us the ability to search through thousands of fingerprints and identify the person who was at that crime scene. We've put all of our fingerprints into the AFIS system, so they should be able to come up with a match.
We weren't actually able to get any matches on our fingerprints. They ended up coming out a little bit blurry, and then we had problems putting them in AFIS.
I don't know if it's like just a blank spot in the print.
Right. We had some trouble lifting prints. We got a few partials, but nothing really came out.
Neither the gray team nor the blue team were able to lift a usable fingerprint at the crime scene. Fortunately, they still have the footprint evidence they collected to track the movement of the suspects in the house.
Does this match the Vic's shoe?
We've provided these students with notebooks of different footprints of people who might have been involved in these crimes. And of course, we make sure that the perpetrators and the victims and the other people involved in the crimes have footprints there. Once they make these identifications for these exercises, for these scene exercises, it gives them an indication of how to put this scene together again, how to reconstruct the events, because now they can put various people in various locations.
It looks like this is...
You have to make a decision whether or not this
That
is
is 26
and
or
then I'll
not.
tell you whose shoe print it is.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Because the students didn't have a single usable fingerprint, the footprint evidence is their last chance to match the wife or neighbor to the crime and determine who was where when and exactly what happened.
Oh, that's it.
The Footwear Outsole Library is a database maintained by the FBI which contains the shoe imprints of hundreds of thousands of shoes of every brand and style. When a size-referenced photo of a print is entered, the computerized database is able to produce a match in seconds.
Yeah, see, I don't know if it's like just a blank spot in the print. Right.
The students didn't lift a usable fingerprint. Now they must turn to what is their last chance, the footprint evidence to solve this crime.
Oh, what about that? Yeah.
So we've definitely got 3 prints.
We found out the neighbor's footprint, the wife's footprint, and the victim's footprint, so we were able to link which prints were which.
This is 26, right? You said this is the wife's? Yeah. Yeah, because they look smaller. Yeah. We were able to identify 3 different footprints, the wife's, the husband's, and the neighbor's. So we're hoping that'll give us a better idea of, you know, what actually happened.
Yeah. Go team.
Now the teams know which footprints match which suspect. So I sent them back to Spruce Cottage to apply this information to their reconstruction of the crime.
Neighbor footprints here, and it shows signs of struggle.
So the husband and the neighbor definitely got into an altercation.
The footprints definitely helped us out. There was this definite circular pattern from when this used, and we found out that those were the neighbors. So that definitely changed all of our theories.
The ones by the door are hers.
This could be from me, couldn't it? Kristen, from the neighbor.
There's the neighbor's shoe print right in the middle of it.
We were really just trying to decipher the footprints and the direction they were going and stuff like that. It was definitely difficult. That print right there coming out of the looks like his. So I think those are where he stepped in blood after he was beating her.
Right.
We kind of looked at the evidence one more time on the floor and came up with our final plan.
Look at how this shoe footprint angles here and here. And this is when he was leaving. He went in there and then left from there.
Is who leaving?
The neighbor leaving.
That does make a lot of sense.
Everyone pretty much agrees that there were 3 people in the house, and there's just little minor details as into who was there first or second, but we're pretty much agreeing on this crime scene, and we think we know what happened.
All right, guys, I think we're ready to present this to Dr. Shaler.
Let's go.
Time now for you guys to put your skit together and show us what you think happened here. What we'd like you to do is narrate it as things go to help explain why you believe that that's what happened. So we'll go to the kitchen, we'll follow you in, huh?
There's still a lot of anxiety about presenting our scene to Dr. Shaler, but I'm confident with the evidence that we found, and so hopefully it'll come together for us. Our scene starts out in the kitchen with the husband and wife eating dinner.
It's cold. You know I like my dinner warm.
An argument breaks out. They
Dinner how I don't like it.
start to throw plates. Fight occurs here. She splatters blood from her nose, gets thrown against the wall. She gets forced out through the hallway here and is being chased by the husband.
You know how I like my dinner.
He hits her here again, both handprints, bloody handprints here. She heads over to the neighbor's house, and the husband's upset about his wife being gone. But finally, the neighbor confronts the husband.
What are you doing in my house?
What are you doing beating on your wife like that?
Don't tell me how to treat my wife. This is my house.
A struggle occurs here. They trade some punches. Then the neighbor picks up a pair of scissors and stabs the victim. He crawls across the floor, dies here. The neighbor comes into the kitchen to try to wipe the blood from his bloody nose and the blood that he got. He comes back out of the kitchen, takes his shirt off, throws it behind the couch here, and then heads out of the house. And that is our story.
Thank you very much.
I think that we were pretty much got like the major basis of what happened. Hopefully we got closer than the gray team, and hopefully we come out on top.
Okay, so we're going to go downstairs and see how your competitors did.
Ooh.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Are we ready?
We're ready. Here we go. They're sitting at dinner eating.
I get pissed off for whatever reason, and I slide it across the table up against the area in the corner there. And I give her a fresh one across the face. She starts to get up. Where are you going?
Spatter.
And you get the spatter up against the wall here.
Then the wife,
And then as she's leaving,
she touches the counter.
push her.
She gets pushed into the door. That's where the other spatter comes from her face. She falls down. She has blood on her hands from being hit in the face. She touches the radiator on her way out to help her up. She goes out the door, her footprints lead out, and she's gone. Okay, so the neighbor finds the husband sitting in the kitchen.
You like to hit your wife, huh? You want to hit women? How about you hit a man? Yeah.
So he grabs the towel on the way out, and he takes off that way.
The bedroom.
The bedroom.
Yeah. And then he now is bleeding from his face, so he has blood dripping down his shirt.
I'm not his wife.
So he follows him into the bedroom, sees him in there, bleeding. And stabs him with the scissors. And then he falls. And the neighbor takes off. And the husband's dead.
Both teams determined the husband and wife fought in the kitchen. The wife exited. The neighbor stabbed and killed the husband and then tossed his shirt before exiting. Their stories did have some differences. Most importantly, the gray team had the fight between the neighbor and the husband begin in the kitchen, while the blue team placed the fight in the bedroom. The gray team had the neighbor exit immediately after the murder, while the blue team had him wash his hands in the kitchen before leaving.
Right, thanks a lot.
I think that was a tough scene. Hopefully it turned out that we were right.
I feel good about it, though. I mean, as confused as we were.
Dr. Shaler will now compare notes with his teaching assistants and co-instructor before revealing which team managed their scene and interpreted the evidence best.
So, what do you think? Give me your
The gray
opinion.
team had the correct interpretation of the spatter in the kitchen. They deemed both instances that it was the wife being forcibly either hit or thrown against the wall.
The gray team misinterpreted the husband in the kitchen when the neighbor came in.
There was really no blood evidence in the kitchen to signify there was that much of a struggle.
Crime scene investigation is not just a simple matter of going out and finding evidence and putting it into a bag and taking it to a laboratory. It's about thinking to logically put together the facts of this scene.
The blue team from the beginning had the wrong seating arrangement in the kitchen.
The blue team had the correct interpretation as identifying a struggle in the bedroom. They noted that there were multiple footprints and it seemed that they were moving in kind of irregular patterns, which would be consistent with a struggle.
We do know that both teams got the footprint evidence correct.
Yes.
Okay, so I think it's time to go back and tell them who we think won.
Both teams have presented their version of the crime to Dr. Shaler. Now, it's time to learn who came closest to what really happened.
The purpose of this scene is for me to see how well you folks recognize footprints and fingerprints at crime scenes. The blue team started off really organized, but waited a little too long to begin doing fingerprints. The gray team was disorganized. You were a little late at getting your fingerprint act together. Now, interestingly enough, you each had similar skits, but significantly different skits.
I feel like whichever team gets the crime scene right, they'll have a lot of bragging rights, and I'm pretty confident that we may have gotten it.
I think our team, we were kind of on the same page, so we felt confident with what we had.
Now let me tell you what really happened. Okay, both teams had to correct that there was an argument that took place in the kitchen. The husband and the wife were having their dinner. There was an argument. He pushed the food around, threw some off the table. Hit his wife. She got scared, threw her against the wall, and hit her again. And she started to run away, and he caught her and pushed her against the door and hit her again. And now she runs. He grabs her by the hair. She elbows him in the face, which gave him a bloody nose. She runs out the door to the neighbor's house.
So far, both teams have interpreted the evidence correctly, identifying a struggle between the husband and wife in the kitchen and the wife's path out of the house.
He's upset. He goes into the bedroom, sits down on the bed. He's holding the blood against his nose. The neighbor comes in, sees the blood on the floor, and now he's looking for the husband. This has been happening too many times. He's really upset. Goes into the bedroom, sees the husband sitting on the bed, grabs him, they push each other against the wall, he turns him around, hits him, and Neighbor grabs for the scissors. The husband starts to run out. The neighbor stabs him. Husband falls down.
We did that, didn't we?
Yeah.
The blue team correctly interpreted the footprint evidence and placed the struggle between the husband and the neighbor in the bedroom, while the gray team mistakenly placed the struggle in the kitchen. Both teams correctly placed the murder weapon in the neighbor's hand.
Neighbor throws the scissors. The neighbor, he looks at his hands. He's got blood on his hands. So he walks into the kitchen. He washes his hands, dries his hands, and he starts to leave. Looks down at his shirt and he sees he has blood on his shirt. So he goes into the bedroom to look for another shirt to put on. Finds his shirt in the dresser, changes shirts, takes the bloody shirt that he had. He needs to find a place to hide it, throws the bloody shirt behind the sofa, and now he walks out and out the door. And that's it.
The blue team correctly had the neighbor go to the kitchen to clean up. The gray team missed this detail. Both teams had the neighbor discard his shirt before leaving, but neither team figured out that he took a shirt from the husband's drawer.
We've come to a conclusion.
I think everyone was taking like really deep breaths, like, oh my gosh, this is the moment.
It was pretty close. This time, the blue team won. The blue team actually came the closest to what really happened.
I was just really proud of my group. I mean, they really pulled behind me and helped me out a lot, and it just all came together at the end for us. So I'm pretty happy with how it went.
It sucks to lose. I was disappointed just in the fact that we were off on a lot of like kind of big details.
This was a complicated scene, and you all worked really hard. So the winning team does not have to clean the scene. The gray team is going to have to work to clean this up so we can put something else in here so we can torture you again. Let's go.
It feels really good to win and actually get the closest to the actual reenactment of what the scene was. All of our hard work paid off. It felt really good.
I'm holding a grudge against the blue team.
I think we made logical mistakes. We should have been a bit more organized, but that's something we learned. And once we get there, then we'll be better.
Well, I'm pleased about the way things are going. They still have a lot to learn. The techniques will come and the expertise will come, but it takes time, it takes practice. At the end of the course, what we'll find is we're going to have a group of people who are really going to be able to go out and do this in the real world.